the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. My name is Brian Wallace, and I am the MS Michigan Man 64. The MS Michigan Man 64 podcast is about chronic disease awareness. I have had multiple sclerosis for the last 27 years. It's an invisible chronic disease that I've been battling for half of my life. I want to share with you what it is like living with the chronic disease from my experiences and the experiences of other chronic disease warriors. We can fight to have a voice to those that want to listen. Together, we can motivate and educate. Hi, welcome to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. Today, I am sitting down with another MSer that was diagnosed in 2021. She wanted to come on and talk about her journey with her diagnosis. And by the way, she has an absolutely gorgeous voice, and we're going to talk a whole lot about that. She's a musician. But please welcome to the podcast, Amber. How you doing today, Amber?
Hi, Brian. I'm good. Thank you for having me on this podcast. I'm very honored.
Oh, thank you so
and
much.
Thank you for the beautiful shout out as well.
Oh, no problem. I don't lie, Amber. I always call him like I see him. I heard your voice about a month ago. I was on a Facebook page and I was flipping through and I ran across a post from your mom, and she had your single on her post and saying that you were diagnosed with MS and you wrote a song about your MS journey. And I was like, oh my God, I got to hear this. And I listened to it and I was just blown away. And I contacted your mom and said, I really would love to talk to your daughter about her MS. And she connected us, and here we are. And I am so happy.
And here we are.
And here we are. So Amber, you got diagnosed in 2021. Can you kind of take us through your path on how you got diagnosed? What was your red flags that was something wasn't right with your health that you needed to go to a doctor to get it figured out as to what was going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I actually had my left eye, that's like the top of my peripheral was kind of going blurry.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was my mascara because I just bought new makeup and it was a completely different brand actually. And I let it go for about a week and the blurriness didn't go away. So I went to an eye doctor, and the eye doctor saw some inflammation in the back of my eye, and he sent me to a hospital because he said I should definitely get looked at over there.
Mm.
And I got in the MRI. Of course, they do that whole process after they do, the first big looks in your eye. And then
Right.
2 months later, I get diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Wow. It went that quick for you. I'm very similar in my path, Amber. I was about 10 months to get me diagnosed, but my first symptoms were my vision too, where I just started seeing things double, and I couldn't even tell the difference between red, yellow, and green at a traffic light, and that was my first red flag. So I completely understand the vision thing. And then the real interesting thing that I found out, and I know that you're going to tell us about that too, is that how you kind of connected the dots to your diagnosis, that you probably were experiencing symptoms a lot sooner than the 2 months that you were going through.
Yeah. So I had to do research mainly to understand MS,
Mm-hmm.
because when I was diagnosed, the doctor actually didn't explain anything to me. He just kind of was like, oh, you have MS, here's some medicine, have a great day.
Yeah.
So once I did my research and I was really reading into it, I started realizing, oh my God, at 15, I remember like my hand would give out, or 16, I remember my leg, something happened with my leg where I like this pain.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was from working so much, because I started working when I was 15 at a restaurant. So I just, younger, thinking, oh, it's just work related. I'm working 5 days a week. It's, just work. And then you start realizing after the diagnosis, wow,
Right.
all this time it's been MS just giving me signs like, hey, maybe get this checked, maybe go to a doctor, do something about it.
Wow, that's just crazy. I hear that so much since I started doing this podcast that people, after they get their diagnosis, they like start thinking back, just like the past couple of years, 4 or 5 years, and they're like, wow, I think that might have been MS, and I just didn't even realize it this whole time. That's just so interesting. So let me ask you this, Amber. When you're 22 years old, I know when I was diagnosed, I was 27, and I didn't even
Mhm.
know what MS was. At 22 years old, when you get told that you have multiple sclerosis, did you even understand what MS was at the time?
Not at all. Not at all. Especially that the doctor didn't explain it to me.
Mm,
But once I did my own research and read about it and started understanding and stopped being in denial,
mm,
once I was understanding, I realized I had to take action and figure out how to help myself. And
yeah.
it really just changes your whole life. Everything just goes a whole 360. You just realize, like, okay, I know I have to eat better. I have to take care of myself. And it does put you into a battle with your own mind. It's a very big mind game when you get into the acceptance
Hmm.
of realizing, like, this is my life now.
Yeah.
And, you just hope for the best. You hope that all your loved ones are going to stay by you, even though you do know that they will. You just question everything after that because you don't feel like yourself anymore.
No, yeah, I totally understand what you're talking about, Amber. And I know that, being 22 years old, you're not even married. You're just in the dating world now. But when I got diagnosed when I was 27, I was just engaged. And those things are going through your head. And I know that they were going through my head when I was 27. I'm like sitting here going, well, what if I'm in a wheelchair by the time I'm 30? Am I going to, is the person that I end up marrying going to be by my side? And I know that those things, you can't help those things to go through your head, especially when you're that
Yeah.
young. And I don't think that people understand the mental drain that it's not just like, oh, hey, you got MS, here's a DMT, life is going to be great. This is a life-changing diagnosis, and at a
Yeah.
young age, I mean, it's a financial change. It's a relationship change. It's a family change. It changes every aspect of your life.
Yeah. It's like a war with your mind on top of it,
Hmm.
and then a war with your body already and your brain trying to fight what's going on inside. And it's just it is a lot. It's a lot, and I wish people that don't have this disease really understood not to judge a book by its cover, and just to hear these stories and everyone's story through your podcasts, to just take a moment to not judge. And maybe somebody's just going through something and you just don't know it.
Yeah, absolutely. I just try to ask people, you don't have to pity me. You don't have to feel sorry for me. Just try to understand,
Exactly.
just understand it a little bit better. It doesn't seem like it should be that hard.
Yeah.
Just for people just to listen, and that's all we want. We just want people to listen. Let me ask you this, Amber, when you got diagnosed, and again, I'm just going back to the mental health part of it because you're young. And how did it affect your relationships? How did it affect your relationship with your family, your mom, your dad? Even like if you had a boyfriend at the time, because I know that when I got diagnosed, I was engaged, and that was a big adjustment for everybody involved in my life. My fiance, my mom, my brother, everybody that's involved in my life. It's not just a change for me; it's a change for them too. So, I just want you to talk a little bit about how it affected your relationship part of your life.
So with my mom, I think she was in the same boat as me. I think she was in denial for a while. And then she started really realizing, especially after multiple hospital trips at such a young age with many flare ups,
Hmm.
I think that's when she started realizing too, like, this is real. And I understand, of course, as a mother, it's very concerning. But she's been by my side throughout the whole journey so far. And my brother, very supportive, my grandma, very supportive. My boyfriend absolutely has also just been over the moon, amazing. And honestly, that helps me get through every day. That's why I wrote the song that you mentioned
Hmm.
earlier.
Hmm.
They get me through everything. no
Yeah.
matter what it is, what everything.
Yeah, and that's just so important. I know we've talked about this, before when we were just getting to meet each other and getting to know each other. Just how important that understanding is from our family members, our boyfriend, our husband, our wife, our kids. It's just we.
Yeah,
We don't want you to go through it with us, but we want you to be there for us and kind of go through it with us in that respect. I by no means I want any of my family members or family or friends or anybody to get this disease. I just want them to understand that we have struggles. I mean, I'm not the same Brian that I was when I was playing at the University of Michigan when I was 22 years old. I'm Brian 5 years later that got MS, and now it's 27 years later, and I don't do things as good as I did back when I was 22, 23. But I'm still a human being. I'm still the same Brian. I'm not a different person.
exactly. We're not a different person, but we have definitely changes in our lives that we notice throughout the years. Like, I might eat differently.
Yeah,
I might not eat goat or lamb or whatever, like the way I used to, or steak the way I used to, or,
right.
crave sweets as much anymore because I know it's not good for me, but I'm still me. And I will say more humble, definitely more humble now.
Yeah, absolutely. I will 1000 agree with you on that, Amber. I have told many people that MS has humbled me by means that you can't even imagine. Being 22-year-old and being a male and being a former football player and thinking that you're indestructible, and then getting that diagnosis when you're 27 years old that you got a chronic disease, it's never going to leave you. And you just kind of like, I took a step back and I'm like, you know what? This is life. And I got to absorb this in. And it really did help me, though. It helps me. I always try to look at positives in everything in my life. And MS is definitely a negative in my life, but I try to turn it into as many positives as I can. And one of the positives that I found is that it humbled me and just to understanding other people's issues. Whether it's Parkinson's or autism or fibromyalgia. I'm not the one experiencing it, but I have my own chronic disease, so it helped me to want to understand other people.
Yeah, it actually, I've done that too, where I started researching other diseases and trying to just educate myself in case of, let's say there's someone alone with another disease and nobody could recognize what's happening. But because I did my research, I would know, hey, that's actually some sort of an attack. We need to call an ambulance, or we just need to see if we can grab this person's phone and just call someone for them that's a family member, because it's not going to be that kind of emergency for a hospital trip.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and it's not that we need people to know every single symptom, but it's just to have that awareness of, people struggle, whether it's MS, lupus, or like you said, fibromyalgia, or cancer, or anything that it is. You have to just love people like it would be your own mom or sibling or child, and just have that care,
Yeah, absolutely. I wish more people thought like you. You're 24 years old now, and you
I'm
think,
26 now.
oh, 26. I'm sorry. Okay. I had you 2 years younger.
Okay.
Take it, take it, take it.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm
But
24.
but yeah, that's fine. But 26 years old, you think so much older, and because it wasn't until I was probably in my 40s when I really started thinking that way, because I was relatively normal with my MS and I was out there in the real world, but I still understood the chronic disease part of it. Just because I had it. And I think that is just so important, just to understand that other people have their struggles. And I wish that other people had the mentality that you have, Amber, to tell you the truth.
That's that's sweet of you. Thank you.
Oh, no.
I wish people, like I said, they don't have to know every symptom, but I wish people just had a little more care in that sense. If you see
Mm-hmm.
someone struggle, just be there for them.
Yeah.
Just even if you're just there.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Amber. I know that when I was 27, it was everything that I could like, manage to think about, being so young, my career, what I was going to do the rest of my life, because I was just starting out. I was 27 years old. I was working for the state of Ohio for 2 years. You needed 30 years to retire. So I still had another 28 to go. And I'm sitting here going, well, God, Ann, I don't even know if I'm going to make it to retirement. But I mean, the way that I approach that is like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to live every day, day by day, and just see how long I can take this thing. And, and I made it 26 years working. And, it's like an attitude almost. What kind of an attitude did you take when you got that diagnosis? I know you aren't a poor me type of girl. I can tell that already from talking to you and from meeting you. So I just want to hear what was your attitude when you got this diagnosis? You said, okay, it is what it is. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to attack it. And this is how I'm going to live my life with MS.
So definitely the first 2 years, it was more of like a mental health struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started understanding my body, I realized like, okay, I'm going to go to work as normal. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to also do music and do the things I love.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to know my body's boundary. If I feel like I can't go to work today, I'm just not going to go to work today. I just knew I had to start recognizing parts of myself inside that is giving me signs like, hey, you got to slow down a little bit. Like, don't be unstoppable, but also listen to the boundaries of your body.
Know your limits.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, know your limits.
Know your limits.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love that you're realizing that at such a young age that you have to manage it. And the thing that I tell everybody too is like everybody's MS is different. So you can't compare yourself to what I'm doing with MS because my MS is different than your MS. You have to customize your own journey almost, and like maybe like ask questions as much as you can with other people that have MS just to see how they do it. Not saying that you have to do it that way, but there's more than one way to attack this disease.
Absolutely. So I have an issue with medicine personally for my body. And like you said, everyone's body is different.
Mm-hmm.
And after I actually had Kesimpta, which was my second different type of medicine to try, which was in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Kesimpta put me in a relapse and put me into the hospital. And I was covered in hives. I was losing hair. My skin, everything was burning. I had the worst fatigue. I couldn't walk, not because I physically couldn't. The way my fatigue was, I just could not do it. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, I can't do this medicine anymore. I'm not going to put my body through that and scar it even more. I feel genuinely I have to do it natural.
Mm-hmm.
And I've started listening to my body. When I would eat certain things, I noticed I wouldn't feel well a certain way. Like my eye, it's always the left eye. I can sense, okay, this is the type of meat I can't eat anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This is ice cream that I can't eat anymore. This is this that I can't do anymore. I can't run like this anymore. Like I just started recognizing what naturally works better for me. And actually, since 2023, I have been good, thank God.
Awesome. I love hearing that. No symptoms. That's an awesome thing. And it's like I tell everybody, it doesn't matter how you're doing it. The bottom line is that you're symptom free, not symptom free, but you're relapse free. And, you're living the best life that you can. It doesn't matter how you're doing it. You're doing it.
The best thing is listen to your body. Mm-hmm. That's for me. And for whoever's listening to, if you feel like you're struggling and medicine's not working for you, just listen to your body, especially with certain foods. Because maybe, like, for example, I'm half Polish, half Pakistani. So the Pakistani side of me loves the lamb and goat with the spicy rice and all that. But I can't eat spicy anymore because it actually harms me with MS.
Yeah.
I can't have sushi anymore. I recognize that raw fish is actually not good for you. Not that it always has been, but especially if you have a chronic illness, it causes inflammation. So
Wow.
like myself, I've just been taking vitamins and eating better. Of course, if I crave sweets, I'll give in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
But
everybody has their weak points, but let me ask you this, because I've had other people on
mhm.
that have gone the natural route too. What kind of supplements do you use? Do you use a lot of people use mushrooms? Do you do the mushrooms?
Yes, lion's mane.
Yeah, lion's
Lion's
mane.
mane.
Yeah. Do you,
That is amazing.
you say
I
you get a lot of
mhm.
good positive benefits from that?
Yes, I love lion's mane. I noticed that after I have been taking lion's mane, that my memory has been better. I still don't have the best memory,
Yeah.
but I it has definitely progressively positively gotten better. I don't stutter as much as I did before. Before I used to stutter a lot and I would very much forget my words and mix them up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also take B12, K2. Oh, I have like five more, but I'm just so used. Oh, fish oil.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. That's
There's a
awesome.
bunch more.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome that you get positive benefits from that, because I hear that too from a lot of people. I mean, I actually did an episode with my stepdaughter who's going to pharmacy school, and we had that was part of the topic. I said, hey, you're learning all about the drugs, the synthetics. I said, I want to talk about the naturals, and she gave a very good reason why doctors are so gung ho on the medicine, the big pharma, because that's data driven and all that. And I gave her the argument. Well, why don't you scientists data drive the natural aspect of it? Because there's a lot of people that are doing really well. The natural route. I did an episode with Maria in episode 3. She's been natural. She's primary progressive, and she's been natural for 12 years, and she's walking around like she doesn't even have MS right now. I mean, it's
It's
not
amazing.
it's not impossible. It's a customized treatment though, and like you are figuring it out. You're figuring it out. What foods exacerbate your symptoms, and you're staying away from them. And it's a trial and error thing. I've done the same thing with some foods that I can't eat anymore.
Hmm.
I used to drink beer. I can't drink beer anymore. It affects me different.
Yep.
It's a trial and error thing with everything that you put into your mouth with MS, because it can affect your symptoms.
It really is. It's all really internal. And there's, you really learn a lot every day. When you think you might know everything, you start to recognize like, oh wow, this is something new. Okay, I can't eat this. Okay, I can do this actually.
Hmm?
It's a mental health game for sure, but it's also a learning game. You again, you think you know everything until you even hear someone else's story and you hear, wow, there's certain foods that you really shouldn't eat or drinks you shouldn't drink. And
Yep.
it's definitely a lot. It's definitely a lot to take in.
It's a never ending learning, and it like you said, it's a mental game. This is a
Yeah.
game. I'm kind of glad that I did get diagnosed when I did at 27. I was young, and I was just coming out of Michigan playing football, and I was still in that game mode, that athlete mode. And when I got diagnosed, I'm like, all right, game on, let's play, and to me, it's just been a constant game with MS. You're going to do this to me. I'm going to go on defense and do this, or I'm going to go on offense
Yep.
and do this. It's a game. And that to me sounds like the way that you've been attacking this disease, Amber. And I love that about you. And now I want to talk about the gifts that you got. Because I absolutely, one of the things that really attracted me to you, I'm not going to lie. And one of the things, the fact that you have MS, but the second thing is that you have absolutely a beautiful voice. And I want to
Well,
talk.
thank you.
No problem. I want to talk about your recording that you just released, and you wrote this song. It's absolutely a beautiful song, and it's MS related. And it just talk to me about your song.
Thank you so much. So I actually wrote this song a couple days before January 1st this year
Mm-hmm.
because I actually did end up going to the hospital, but it wasn't MS related.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought maybe it might have been. And so just backstory, this is for the song, of course. In 2023, when I was taking Kesimpta and it put me in the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and they saw the amount of lesions on my spine and my brain. They told me that they were surprised I was even walking.
Hmm.
So when I went to the hospital a couple days before this past New Year, they saw in my MRI that all those lesions are gone. And they found one very tiny one that they think, they're not sure, they think might have put me to be so dizzy that I couldn't walk or drive or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It cognitively affected me very badly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it affected me in the sense that when I got home, when they released me, they brought me home with steroid pills to take home, and it was 25 pills to take each day. And that affected me taking them every day. They were the size of M&Ms.
Yeah.
Like it mentally affected me. And I was like, I'm in song mode now. I need to write something. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I hate that it's for me. And I'm like, oh, that's the song title. I have to write around that. And I'm not even kidding. In 10 minutes, I wrote it out once I found the perfect piano ballad that I wanted.
Mm.
I wrote it in 10 minutes.
I
And that's
actually
how the song came out.
I listened to that. I can't believe it took you 10 minutes to write that song. It's an absolutely beautiful song. And I will let everybody know that's listening. I will have the link pasted in the description so that you can check it out. It's really is. It's a beautiful song, and it is about her journey, and it is not a pity song either. It's just a song to that she wants people to understand, and I just love it. It's a beautiful song, Amber.
Thank you so much. I want people to know too that the title, of course, speaks for itself, that I hate that it's for me as much as other people that struggle with anything. And I wanted it to be for anyone who goes through anything to just know that you're not alone in any journey that you're in. But I hate that it's for me is also that my family members, my mom, my brother, my boyfriend, my best friends around me, I hate that it's for me, that they cry for me, that they feel my pain. And I can see it when they look at me, when they know I'm freaking out. I might be having an anxiety attack because I don't know what's happening. And
Yeah.
the 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 fact that my boyfriend had to pick me up and take care of me, which of course is a vice versa job of a relationship, but I hate that it's for me, that
Right.
that it's because of this disease.
Yeah. I totally relate to that. Amber, I am the same way. I have always been a very independent person.
Yeah.
I lost my father when I was 15. I watched my mom and how strong she was and how she carried through life. And that's the way I always tried to keep myself. And I hate the fact that I have to ask for help now. And it's hard. And it's hard just to have people to understand that you hate doing it. You know, I mean, I got a wife that I loved more than anything in the world, and she does anything in the world for me. And it makes me cringe sometimes that she is doing things for me because I want to be able to do those things for her. You know,
Yeah.
and it's part of the mental game. So I totally understand why you wrote that song. And like I said, it's just so beautiful, beautifully written, beautifully
Thank you.
sung. You just have an absolutely beautiful voice, period.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I
Yeah,
know.
and you know what? Oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no, go ahead. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that going on what you said, when your wife takes care of you, and I've also been always very, very independent since I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And of course it's our job too to, like I said earlier, like vice versa. Like of course I would do this for my boyfriend as well, but like because it's yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you're not a burden, but you feel like a burden. Like you just don't want to have to tell your mom, hey, mom, can you actually go grocery shopping for me and I'll send you money because I just cannot get out of bed today. Or, babe, can you please help me get out of bed and take me to the bathroom because I am in so much fucking pain. I cannot walk to the bathroom myself.
Right.
It's like you said with it's a mental game. Like
Yep. Absolutely.
you,
It is. It is.
you just don't, yeah, you just feel like, I hate that it's for me. That's
Yeah,
just how you feel.
it's the perfect title. It's the perfect title to a fucked up disease, you know. And you wrote it so beautifully, and it couldn't be any better. And like I said, when I get this podcast up and hopping, I want your song to be plastered all over my podcast, because I think that your song just it spells MS and how to fight and how to have an attitude. And you are the epitome of an MS fighter, Amber. And that's why I had an attraction to you, just because you look at this girl, look at this young girl that she's got a dream of being a singer, and she just cut a single, and she's had MS for a few years, and she doesn't give a shit what MS is doing to her. She's going after her dream. And I know you're going to get there, girl.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You were so sweet.
You know, I just like saying it how it is. I know that everybody that I have met with MS, they have the same passion. You know, they want to be understood. They don't want to be labeled. They don't want to be labeled
Yep.
as being lazy or, you know, antisocial or anything like that. We want to be understood. And being such a young girl and going through this, I feel it. I feel what you're striving for, Amber, because I was there. I was there as a 27-year-old, you know, just getting newly diagnosed, and people around me had no clue what I was going through. It's an invisible disease. We do not show our signs. We look normal, but we're not.
But you know what? You then actually realize, as you were saying that, in a way, we really are unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
We are pushing, we are fighting, we are literally warriors. We have been through up and down. Even at our best, we know, all right, no matter what, like if the negative is going to come, I'm going to fight it and I'm going to get through it. So we are unstoppable.
We are. We figure shit out. I say it all the time. MSers, all of us, it doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter if we're white,
Yep.
black. It doesn't matter if we're male, female. It doesn't matter if we're from Norway or we're from England or we're from Canada or we're from the United States. We are all warriors. We are badasses,
Yes.
and we all figure shit out.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We're fucking strong.
No doubt about it. So let me ask you this before I ask you what your last message is for everybody. I just want to hear your opinion, being young, because I want to get the young people's opinion. Because I already know what the old guys' opinions are, and the older people that have.
Well, I'm an old soul, so
you
maybe it's not me that you should have.
Well, yeah, but my point is that you still are 26. I want to know, being newly diagnosed, what is your most frustrating part of this disease so far in your first three or 4 years?
Most frustrating.
Mm-hmm. Trick question.
This is actually a very good question.
I'll give you mine while you think about yours. My most frustrating thing after 27 years, and it just seems like I've been beating my head against the wall for 27 years, is just people to understand. Whether it's people that you work with, your coworkers, or just people in a shopping store, in a mall or something like that. You're walking by people that, like, they either they're staring at you because you have a cane or a walker, or you're in a wheelchair, or you walk with a limp or something. So you're self-conscious about that. It's the frustration. It's the frustration of not being understood by your employers. You know, you want to do a job, you want to do it to the best of your ability, but you can't because, you know, you don't have an accommodation or something. I mean, that's just me ranting right now. I mean, frustration has been my biggest bitch in 27 years. So I just wanted to hear yours in the first few.
Well, you know what? I do agree with you. That is very frustrating, especially that I have experience witnessing that myself. I actually want to say a little story. It's very short.
Yeah, sure.
But it's so my mom is the best mom. And of course, many people will say that, but about their mom. But my mom is the best mom in the world. And this is by all means not anything negative, but speaking on when people don't understand and don't recognize, and you can tell they're judging. There was a time that my mom and I were leaving the diner, and there was a car that was parked out front, and it was kind of blocking the way that you would exit. Now, me younger before being diagnosed, I'd probably get frustrated too, like, hello, can you get out of my way? Like, I'm trying to exit.
Hmm.
And my mom kind of did that. She's like, oh my God, what is this guy doing? And me now, I see everything so differently.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, that person might be going in and getting their wife or their grandma, someone with a cane, someone with a wheelchair. You don't know why they're parked right there.
Hmm.
And she turned and looked at me and she goes, oh my God, Amber, I'm sorry. I didn't even think of that. And I'm like, it's okay. I wouldn't have either if I didn't have MS.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. People will not realize until they have it for themselves. And I hope to God no one else gets it. I would never even wish it on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
But what we as MSers want, what we just wish is that people would just have some sort of compassion. Just because I look okay doesn't mean that I'm not fighting demons inside of me. And that's even you as someone as a healthy person, you could be struggling with mental health, but I'm not going to judge you if you're going to cry to me. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
So I
Absolutely.
agree with you with that frustration. I absolutely agree with you. That's probably the most frustrating.
Yeah, that's just, I'm speaking from 27 years experience. I was just curious, if you were already in that boat, being early in, because it wasn't right away that I was frustrated, but it wasn't that long. I mean, it didn't take that long because you just see how society is. And now I'm just striving to change that. I want to change people the way they look at chronic disease. Don't look at us like
Yeah.
we're a liability. We're still a society. We want to be
Yes,
part of the society and we want to be treated normal.
absolutely. And even someone with a cane or walker or wheelchair, just because we have that little bit of help doesn't mean we don't want to go bowling or golfing.
Right.
We're still normal people. We still want to do these things with you. And that's why so many of us have all these goals. And of course, for example, me, I want to be a famous singer. And one of my biggest goals once I reach that point is to find a cure for MS. I'm going to do that. I promise myself that. And I
Hmm.
promise everyone that. But there's also other people, like there has been beautiful stories of people who have unfortunately become wheelchair bound, but then something happened where they were able to walk again and they started running again or
Hmm.
golfing or football, just
Yep.
succeeding.
I hear it all the time, Amber. I hear it. I see it all the time. I've talked to people that were in a wheelchair, 5 years ago. They were in a wheelchair and they thought their life was over, and now they are up and they're walking, they're moving. You always got to have hope. I always have
Yes.
hope. I always have hope that I'm one day going to be able to run again. I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but I'm never going to give up hope on it. I'm never going to give up.
And that's why we're warriors. We're unstoppable because we keep fighting. We fight for ourselves, for our body, for our health, for our mental health.
Mm-hmm.
We
Absolutely.
don't give up.
Absolutely, Amber. Amber, I really, really appreciate you coming on here to talk about your journey with MS. I
Thank you
definitely,
for having me.
I would have you on anytime you want, Amber, because I think it is just so important for people to talk about their journey. And especially when people already have an episode with me, I want to hear from them in another 3 months or 6 months to see where they're at, to see what the progress is they made, and just the good
Absolutely.
stories. I've already started having people on a second time. I had Tilly on the other couple weeks ago. She's from up in Canada and she's newly diagnosed and she's just kicking the shit out of this disease. And it's just about attitude. I love hearing people's stories because we can fight this disease. I'm living proof of it. 27 years. I'm still going.
Yes.
I'm not going as good as I once was, but I'm still going and I'm never going to stop.
Exactly. You're never going to stop. And I love what you're doing with the podcast and spreading the awareness. And you have so many different stories. And there's no two MS people that have the same exact thing going on, but we all understand each other. And it's just the fact that we can all come together with good spirit and spread awareness and just say, hey, like, yeah, I have this, but
Yep.
I'm fighting. I'm a warrior.
Yep. Yeah, don't count me out because I'm going to come right after you, man.
Exactly, because I'm gonna roll in.
Absolutely, Amber. I'm telling you, I know that I'm going to be listening to you singing your songs on the radio. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to be listening to your song on my podcast webpage. It's going to be, you're going to be in everybody's um, living room. You know, they're going to know who you are. They're going to know who Amber is. They're going to know that she's an MSer, and they're going to know that she has an unbelievable voice, and she is so talented.
Thank you. You are so sweet.
Uh,
Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem, Amber. All right. Anybody that wants to check out Amber's song, I will definitely have that in the description. Like I said, click on it. Please, please. It is just so awesome. Please hit the subscribe button on her YouTube channel with all of her music. She's just so talented, and she's an MS warrior. I love having her on. I appreciate you, Amber. If you want to follow me on Instagram, you can find me MS Michigan Man 64. You can also find me on TikTok, MS Michigan Man 64, and I'm on Facebook, Brian Wallace out of Brunswick, Ohio. Until the next episode, you all have a good day. MS Michigan Man 64, I am out.